Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. It's Chris here, gaming in the Keats, and I am joined today by Mark from Green Dragons. How you doing, Mark?
Doing fantastic. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yes, it is. It's Super Bowl Sunday. So, thank you so much, Mark, for doing this battle report with me today because it's the final round of S1N, and guess what? We are playing you guys.
It was good times. I'm trying. I don't even remember who we all played, but obviously you're going to go through who you played. Do you remember who we ended up pairing up against individually? Because
Yes.
didn't James have to leave?
Yes, he did have to leave. Well, I know Brian had to leave, and then James
That's
still
right.
wasn't feeling his 100%. So we
Yeah.
just decided to do a dice roll. We just rolled off to see who played who, which I thought was, for me, that was just like, yes, I don't have to think. I just have to roll a dice at the end of the event.
And that's why. So so we had a conversation before recording where it's like, where's my matrix? Because I was trying to pull up my matrix for the triple Chris threat, and like I don't have one. That's so odd. Now that's why, because again, yeah, Brian. So Brian Holly, who is an awesome player, and love his painting and everything else. He's won best paints. I forget how many events, by the way. It's just amazing with that. He had to go, and then as you said, James was willing to sit that one out, and so we just, if I remember right, we all just rolled dice, and whoever had the matching dice is who played on that table.
Yep. And so I got paired up against Warriors of the Dark Gods, Ben. And so here's the matrix I had for us. So we had you, well, as you can see, so I took out, Brian's and James's list from the matrix. So it's just who played who. And so I had, yeah, we basically had you, Mark, either red or orange all across the board. um, we had orcs and goblins. So Ryan Stottle all yellows, but me with an asterisk, which is the whole Dark Hide nonsense. Like if I get to go first, it could be better. but, but that's just the asterisk. But and then I had Ben as a green. What do you think? What do you think of this on first impressions? How accurate would you say that is?
um, I'd have to see the list again, but I understand. And for some reason, I think I played Chris not Chris. Yeah, Chris went at Sin for some reason. I think that's who I ended up playing against.
You did, but
Yeah.
we won't spoil the result yet because I do have the results at the end.
Oh, I was gonna say I think he may have won that game.
uh, well, we'll find out. No
Yeah.
spoilers.
All right. Yeah.
But it definitely didn't go as expected. I'll say that. Um, so that's just a random slide of my list. Here's my actual list. Um, for people who watched this S1N videos beforehand, and if you see my list, I'm not going to go over it in too much detail. You can always just copy paste, or not copy paste. Yeah, pause
Real
it.
quick.
Yeah, what's up?
Dark Hide is +1 to hit, +1 to wound against scoring.
No, so Dark Hide is the one where you scout in your own deployment zone.
Got it.
You're thinking of Smother, and so the succubi. Oh wait, no, they oh, I think they removed that manifestation. That's a previous one, and we just have Smother, so you just get +1 to hit and +1 to wound against the models with the same height as you.
Got it.
So Claw
So
Fiends and Succubi have that.
yep. But Claw Fiends, you don't have multiple wounds on your Claw Fiends, correct?
Um, well, they're 3 wounds apiece if that's what you
No,
mean.
they do. They do multiple wounds where they do.
No, they do not. They're just there to be a nuisance.
Yeah, and looking at the list, knowing Ben's list, I mean, I know you got that courtesan. I know you got the great maw. I'm not sure that I would have rated that a green based off this core, based off what I'm looking at, because he's got either both a lot of armor, or this is his Feldrak list. So he's got a lot of Feldraks in that list,
Right.
and they can you lose that advantage because he's got a large grouping of large and gigantic models.
Right. And so I think immediately I misjudged this as well. And because not only do you have exactly what you just pointed out with the armor and the Feldraks, because the Feldraks, they counter the bloat flies pretty well. The Clawed Fiends are essentially my only answer against the Feldraks aside from my two big demons. But he also has a plethora of range damage to threaten the big demons. So it's just like, and that's something I didn't really take into account when I made that uh, matrix.
Yeah, because the courtesan, I love the courtesan. It's an awesome, awesome model. But you need to use it in the manner so that you're trying to get her into the flank typically,
Hmm.
to maximize her ability. And yes, I think like looking at lists on running div and the Evo, she's fast, but you don't have the movement capabilities to turn around and prevent him from making sure he keeps her in the front of something.
Right, because he has all of his single models as well. We can just run around each other, and yeah, it can be precarious. And then let's speaking of Ben's list, let's head on over. He's got that big tanky unit of warriors. He's got the sorcerer on the battle shrine, um, and he's got that ancestor with cleansing light. And so I don't have brimstone secretions that ignores divine attacks on the ancestor. So that guy's a problem. He's like my priority target number one. Um, and then you got the big Feldraks, and the only way I can really deal with the Feldraks is using the Clawed Fiends because they have the +1 to hit and wound against them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, now, oh, and yeah, and they have paired weapons, so it's not like, yeah, it's just they will strike at initiative. And then the two great elders are tough. Like because he has just a different amount, or not different, just a spread of different threats. I have to be really methodic of like, okay, I can only deal with one at a time, and that puts pressure on me.
I think what actually also sets Ben's list apart from a lot of other warrior lists is the flayers. I'm still not sold on this getting Lash with his particular list, but again, he can take out your Furies with ease with that, with those things, while still, I mean, they're advanced 10-20, so they can still turn around and chaff.
Yep.
He's got the high strength, so that's going to negate a lot of your um, a lot of your high resilience as well. And
Hmm.
to your point, he does have that cleansing light where you rely on. So he's already negating that 5 up armor save. I think I saw Chitness scales on your greater demons.
Right.
Um, and let's be honest, it's as good as almost as good as a t-shirt save. But he's going to be able to negate your Aegis save because of cleansing light. And doesn't the Maw have both a fortitude and an Aegis save?
It does, correct. Yeah. And
So
yeah.
that negates that right there. Um, he is running Evo, which again, unlike Alchemy, I mean, if he had an Alchemy master, he'd be like, yeah, all day long. But Evo presents other issues for you, and he's running Evo because he doesn't have a lot of warriors, and it's like it's the rerolls to hit, rerolls to wound, I believe, is an Evo.
Hmm.
And that's why he was running that, because he felt he needed that for the list, which just pairs up very well against the demons.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And then, my succubi are kind of just like, what do we do? They don't have any good real targets in against his list. So they're
No,
kind
he's
of
got Sloth warriors with a 3 up armor save that are -1 to wound.
Yeah. So it's just not looking it's not looking great. I think for whatever reason when I did this matchup, I was thinking green because I'm like, oh div, I can like just like take out the single models with unerring strike and then it kind of dawned on me when I got into the matchup, like, oh no, face judgment isn't gonna be great here. Because of
Yep,
the armor. So I was like, I guess I better, I guess I better take the spear and hope to get those 2 wounds through, you know.
absolutely.
So, so yeah. So the pregame we just have marching columns, and the secondary was breakthrough, and it was just a custom map. So going over my thoughts here, I do think both armies have counters for each other because div does help a bit, not the best, but does help with those single models still. Ben's his magic damage is it's an issue for me regardless, and like you said, he has the high armor, but the dark hide does mean I get to dictate where I get to put pressure, and like I get to choose those matches a bit. um and then I was thinking, okay, I need to go first um to prevent him from just pressuring me,
Hmm.
I know normally with breakthrough you want to go second, but I do think it's just depending on what type of list you're playing against. If you know your opponent's list puts pressure on you, I think it's probably better to just like counter that with your own pressure, or at least with the list that I had.
What was secondary again? I know it was
Breakthrough.
more breakthrough. See, I give the advantage to him for the objective because you have your claw fiends, which are fast. You're what, 918s?
Yeah,
So you got 2 units of those, and you've got 2 units of succubi. I think the succubi are your issue.
yeah, they are.
Um, and I do think that I love, by the way, how you can counter deploy your entire army. I think that is awesome. Um, and it puts other armies like KOE, it puts at a disadvantage because it's like I need to know where you are. If you counter deploy against me, um, KOE then has to start on kind of on their back heel, depending on the style army that it may bring. Let's see. The issue is I don't think your flies have a great target to go into.
No.
Um, and I think that for, as we already mentioned, the succubi, other it's the +1/-1 negates itself, and they're only what, strength 3 succubi, or are they strength 4?
Yeah, they're only strength 3, AP
Yeah,
1.
so they're still only wounding on 4, so they do dish out a lot of attacks. But then you're giving him 4 up, they're AP 1,
Yeah.
so you're giving him spiked shields and his attacks if you go into that front of that unit. So I think that the volume of attacks negates itself into his favor if you hit the front.
Right.
Um, I think that your monsters have to do the work. And as for the magic, I like scrying because if you can stop his ancestral aid for the most part, make it so he's hitting you on 4s, and then have scrying on top so he's hitting you on 5s, you take out a large part of his strength.
Mm. Well,
So go ahead.
yeah, that is certainly a debate I had when picking the magic. Um, and so going into that, I didn't choose scrying. Because I really wanted, so I chose the hereditary. I chose Know Thy Enemy. Um, I think more or less because I was wanting to have the um yeah, Know Thy Enemy. I couldn't tell you my thought process at that time, but I think, once you say it, yeah, I do. I kind of agree with scrying. I think Know Thy Enemy did help the Claude Fiends out, and it helps, it did help them. It helps the Maw too, because the Maw's still kind of, low agility.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Know Thy Enemy is essentially effectively on the quarter zone is essentially a double scrying anyway because she's already distracting. So make your offense defense 9. It's like, all right, you're hitting me on 5s now. It's on 6s,
Yeah.
depending on your offense
Well,
skill is.
distracting doesn't stack.
Right.
But doesn't she
So
already have distracting?
exactly. So I think that's probably why I took Know Thy Enemy, because I was just like, it's still
See,
useful, but I think overall it means scrying allows me to be a bit more aggressive. I think to be like, okay, I can still you have rerolls to hit, rerolls to wound, -1 resilience, and scrying in my pocket. So it's just
so let me ask you this: prior to deployment, what was your game plan if you had gone either first or second? Like what like the way you described it is you were going to sit back and try to shoot them off with magic and then engage around turn 3 and 4.
My game plan was just to react to his deployment and then team up, use the demons to pick off the single models, and to
Okay.
put pressure on the single models. And then my goal was to just like put the succubi, like knowing that it was breakthrough. My plan was just be like, I'm going to split up the succubi at the two far ends of the table and just say, you have to go for one of them to try and stop breakthrough. And if you're going for one of them, that means your single models are like, or depending on what you put to stop them, which is probably going to be a Feldrak ancestor, it's pulling them away from the center. So that was sort of
Okay.
my thinking. Um, and then so I have on the Maw, the -1 resilience and the rerolls to hit. And then
Mm-hmm.
Ben, he took, he has the double hereditary. He has rerolls to hit, rerolls to wound, and then he took Marked for Doom, and he was able to switch out one of the Evo spells with the sorcerer for Grave Calls, which is just like, oh man.
Yeah, great. And again, so look, going back to that his list for that. So looking at that, I would have been. I like how you're trying to split his list up.
hmm
Um, I don't know. It's so. Look, I will not say I'm a demon player expert in any way, shape, or form. I just think that I would have taken the close combat buffs and engaged him as quickly as possible, because he doesn't have a lot of ranks other than the one unit of sloths, and just flood him. Like get the Clawed Fiends in a flank and the front of one of the Feldraks. Turn around, maximize my magic, and break him, and then kind of do like a rampage down the line.
Gotcha. So, um, going into that, so this is how I approached it at the time. So from left to right, you see what I did here. Yeah, succubi, then bloat flies. The courtesan and maw are right together. It's just, the models just have massive wings, and so they can't
Oh
fit,
yeah.
but you can see the courtesan's base right by the maw. Um, I have my Clawed Fiends essentially in the center, right across from the Feldraks. Furies in the center to just kind of just be wherever depend. They're kind of there to just be like, okay, I need to pay attention to where the single models go, and then they just need to get in the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second unit of Clawed Fiends, and then another unit of Bloat Flies, and then the far succubi onto the farthest right. From Ben's top left, he's got a unit of flares, and then he has the ancestor next to the building. He's got the big unit of Feldrax. Then he's got a sloth brick. He's got his scoring unit of barbarian horsemen. Then you have the two elders, and then another unit of flayers. Um, so, he obviously got to deploy, and so he was kind of facing centrally. And so
Mm-hmm.
I saw that and I was like, well, I'm just going to put the two bigger demons together on one side and just target that ancestor so
Okay.
that was my thought process there. So my turn movement, I move up. I'm just out of charge range of the Feldrax in the center with the Clawed Fiends. I move
Mm-hmm.
up, but I'm not going aggressively. I'm just trying. except for that left side, I'm pushing up the succubi for breakthrough. The bloat flies are right behind the two bigger demons. And so I get in range of, with the courtesan, I get in range of 21 now that she's next to the maw of the Feldrak. He stops unerring strike, but I do get a spear of infinity through and put 2 wounds on the ancestor. So those 2
Okay.
2 wounds help.
Absolutely.
So Ben's turn 1, he kind of reacts to what I did. Both of his ancestors are, or excuse me, not ancestors. He backs up his ancestor and he brings the flares behind the house. He angles the Feldraks to face the 2 bigger demons. And his sloth warriors come up because, they're not afraid of Claude Fiends. And then he pushes his elders over to the right, to deal with the succubi. I guess I'm bluffing here because I'm sitting there thinking, like, yes, if you give me it, like, I will charge with the bloat flies and the Claude Fiends into your elders. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, I don't want that. But I guess what I am thinking about is that the elders do have great weapons. So at least the bloat flies will strike first. And they're AP3, strength 6. So, like, they can hurt it. But, he has hatred against me, and then I don't know, like, I'm
But he only
wondering
has 5 or 6 attacks with
it
that.
right, and he doesn't have the stomps, which is important.
Yeah. And you only
So
have 2 attacks each?
yeah, so 7 attacks in that unit with the bloat flies because they do have a champion.
And he's res 6. So on average, and you're AP3, he's got a 3-up armor, so
I think I do probably like 1
you're doing about 2 wounds a turn.
Yeah.
And I think he has higher offensive defensive than you.
I'm off I'm definitely defense like 2, so
yeah. So
hitting
and
on
you're
3s.
res 4?
Yeah, res 4, so he's wounding on 2s. So it'll be 3s and 2s, and I have that 5-up fortitude.
So he's doing about 2.3, you're doing 1.5. So you have more wounds than he does. And that's not even including if you get a lucky toxic hit off on him, which is always a possibility. So if that's the case, it is in your favor with the bloat flies at that point, just because you have more wounds and he doesn't have anything else on that side. Now, if he charges and gets in both elders, that's just bad juju for you.
Yeah.
But I think that if he gets his elder into the succubi, even if you counter with the bloat flies,
yes,
I think just the combat res, because now he does get that stomp, those stomps
right.
and things like that. That's absolutely not what you want there.
Exactly. Yeah, so that was sort of what I was afraid of. I was basically, my right side was just like, I'm bluffing. I don't actually want to be aggressive. So with magic, I stopped the grave calls and he gets a mark for doom on my Claude Fiends. He chose to do the Claude Fiends because I think the way that I positioned them on the courtesan, I was unless he really wanted to angle and come up and get within 24, he might have been, I don't know, maybe he shouldn't have been afraid of the Claude Fiends. Maybe he could have just angled the Sloth Warriors to face the 2 bigger demons to get the whatever it is. It's Touch of the Reaper, not Marked for Doom. That's the spell.
Okay.
So he puts the wound on the Claude Fiend. So I go into my turn 2. I start pushing that left side hard. And then you'll notice, so Ben left me a 10 with the Claude Fiends into his Feldraks, and I figured, well, my Furies are here. If I fail it, it was, no big concern. And I make the 10 on Swift Stride.
But your Claw Fiends are only strength 4, right?
Yeah, +1 to wound. So I was just like, all right, well, let's just throw all my magic into that combat.
And what's their AP?
AP2.
Okay, so they're AP2. He's only got a 4-up armor. But their strength 4. How many attacks does your Claw Fiend unit put out?
4 puts out, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 attacks.
And you're hitting with +1 to hit, right?
Yeah, and +1 to wound. Keep in mind, I only did this because I was like, I'm going to at least get 1 combat buff up.
So you should, on average, do 4 wounds.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what happens.
So what happens is I bait out the Dispel with Unerring Strike onto his ancestor because no, he doesn't want that. I mean, I don't blame him. And then I get off both Know Thy Enemy and boosted Spectral Blades onto the Cloud Fiends.
All right. So it's heavily in your favor with that combat, at least doing wounds.
Yes. Right. So the Cloud Fiends kill 2 Feldraks. He kills 1 Cloud Fiend in return. He breaks. It's like an auto break. I failed to catch him, and he runs exactly what he needs to stay on the board edge.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Ruh-roh, George.
Yeah, he rolled. He needed a 9 to get off. He rolled an 8.
And he's only got a one-time 9 though discipline check.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens because I'm not liking where those Claw Fiends are because as much damage as you may be able to do to those Sloth Warriors.
Yeah, they're dead. Like I was just like, oh wow! Like I was happy to trade the Cloud Fiends for the Feldraks, but not either catching them or having them get destroyed and run off the board was just like, damn it.
That's heartbreaking. Yeah.
Yeah, there you have it. So Ben's turn 2. He brings his. I like how he did this. He brought his 1 ancestor over into the water, or not elder, and so he split up the 2 elders to be more central. And so he got out of line of sight of the Cloud Fiends here. Mike James, my captain, pointed this out because he was just like watching everyone's games at this point, and he kind of pointed out to me at the end of the game, he's like, I think you made a mistake with your Cloud Fiends. They need to be facing more central.
Yep.
Yeah, and Ben is punishing me for that mistake right now. So flares come up, and he actually kind of backs up with that elder on the right side from the succubi, which I'm just like, yes, please do that. Yeah. And he brings, now here's where a mistake I think he made for me. He does rally the Feldraks, by the way, in the back. So I was like, damn it. And this is actually after those Cloud Fiends are dead. Like,
yeah, I see they're missing at the time of this pick.
Yep, they're dead. Like they killed like a couple warriors, but yeah, they died. But then he did this thing here where you see the Eldritch, the ancestors in the middle now, and he gave the Maw, I think, a 7 on Swift Stride.
Okay.
To set up, I think he was trying to bait out the charge with the Maw.
Into his ancestor?
Yeah.
It's not a bad play because then he turns around, he flanks you with those warriors, and you're only strength 5 AP2 with a -1 to wound. So you're only wounding him on 4s, and that's a lot of static res.
It is. It definitely is. Now you'll see. You'll see the decision I make. Oh, that says turn 3. So in my turn 3, so I charged. Let's go back. Excuse me. So I actually charged the Maw in to the ancestor, right?
All right.
I charge him in. I get off. I get off at least a Know Thy Enemy on the Maw.
Yep. Which I'd be fine with. I just would stop Spectral Blades.
Right. The Maw this Maw build has the rerolls to wound against large and gigantic anyway. I
Oh,
think Ben stopped Stars Align.
got it. In which case, good
Um,
play by Ben.
yeah.
But did you have that twice? Did you? No, because you're not running Evo.
Or I am running Evo, but I chose the -1 resilience and spectral instead.
Got it.
Instead of double rerolls to hit. I think I might have gotten a minus. I can't remember what spells I got on the ancestor, but it's also possible I got off the second spell too. Because I'm basically just with the two bigger demons, I'm just two dicing each spell. Roughly, depending on which one it is. And so basically, so the Maw goes in. I do a total of 2 more wounds. The Maw does 2 wounds to the Feldrak. The Feldrak does 2 wounds to me. I heal my wounds. And I think or whatever it was, it might have actually been 4. Whatever it was, I remember that I was up by 4. I'd done enough to have a charge. I must have done 3 wounds 'cause I was up by 4. I had a charge and 3 wounds. I think it's possible that he might have just whiffed on this round. There's one round where I remember him just totally whiffing with the ancestor, and I was up by 4. He needed a 5 to stick, and he stuck.
I think that's 25% odds. In which case, this is what I always say: is when your dice are rolling low, there's one good thing about rolling low dice. You're going to stick that discipline test.
Yeah. Now, I don't know. I think looking back at this, I probably because I noticed here he left this gap in the center. I don't know if I actually would have charged the Maw looking back at this because of the risk that it poses of like, yeah, if he sticks, then I lose the Maw essentially. Um, but um, but you know, I was just like, let's go, Maw against Ancestor. I want to see. And so it's cool. The healing up to 2 wounds was also really nice. I loved that rule. um,
Is there a
and
max? There's no max to that. It's just how is there?
it's just however many wounds I do, I have to roll a 4 up, right? So I
Yeah.
did 3 wounds, I roll a 4 up, and then if I get the 4 up, I healed the wounds back that's taken to me.
And the Maw still blows up. Like it still, if it eats too much, it blows up, which I've
bet.
never seen happen.
You bet. This we'll see. No, I'm not. Well, I feel like if it blew up, you would have known about it.
Yes, I would have.
But yeah, I've never had the Maw blow up on me either. But it got the highest I've had it get up to is like 13 wounds.
At what point does it blow up?
18, double its health pool.
Got it.
Yeah.
It.
So, but one thing
let's see what happens. Let's see your next move. I agree with with your mistake. And I'm just as guilty of this. I just did this up at nationals, which case I took one of my units and I just ignored the metal because I had a hill blocking my line of sight, and my opponent had a counter charge set up, so I tilted one way, and that just gives free reign. You never want to. If you want to maximize your field of vision with your units, is what I'm going to say.
Yeah, and so that was something I unfortunately did not take advantage of here. And so this is the moment where I have my timeout because the Maw stuck, and I was just like, "All right, James, I need help." So we just reformed the Maw and just kind of hoped for the best. Now I am in the challenge with the Feldrak Ancestor, so that helps. Like I don't think I pop in one round, but we'll see.
You only have 9 wounds, right?
I only have 9 wounds. I know.
Okay, so charge banner.
Charge banner 3 ranks. It's just depends on how many wounds I do to the ancestor.
And wait, that's just from that one. He also has a big flank, so he's sitting at 7 combat res.
Oh no! I reformed to face the warriors, so I put them in their front.
No, but his elder's still gigantic.
Yes.
It's still flank, big flank.
You're right, absolutely. So like it's really dependent on the maw killing the ancestor.
Yeah.
It really is. And so he has, at this rate, he's taken 5 wounds.
Oh, I thought you only took 4. He took 2 from magic, 2 from close combat.
No, he had to have taken 3 from close combat because I remember
Okay.
he needed the 5 to stick.
Okay.
Um,
So he's got what, 3 wounds left?
he has 3 wounds left, exactly. It looks like I do have more than one spell up on the maw, by the way. So, or there's like a couple of cards. So it's definitely Guiding Light is there, and then I bet you there is also a Whispers of the Veil on the Ancestor too. That could be possible there. But so he chaffs the Courtesan here, so I can't get into the flank of the Sloth Warriors.
Yep.
He pushes his 2 elders together. Still kind of, I mean, you know, he's giving me now a 10 with the Succubi. And the Bloatflies have backed up, as you saw, and then he eats the chaff, the Furies, with the Scoring Horsemen, which I'm actually kind of okay with because now I get to charge them, and you know, I expect him to flee, and he's just going to. I'm keeping that scoring unit out.
So I'm going to say one thing here which is going to be kudos to you, is this is something that I think a lot of people don't play well enough. You as of right now, you've put the pressure on Ben to try to get objective. You have put your Succubi in his deployment zone. As of right now, you have objective, and his scoring is not in a good position, to get to your scoring. He doesn't have anything in position to get to your scoring that's in his deployment zone. So I really like how you did that, Chris.
Thanks. So yeah, and I think, but now he's making a move for it. So on his turn, I don't think he gets off anything spectacular magic wise. Oh yeah, oh yes, and then by the way, you see those 2 wounds on the Courtesan? Skinning Lash.
Oh, you're gonna make you eat my words when it's like, yeah, that's like a useless thing. I know, I did 2 wounds to the Courtesan. All right,
Skinning Lash. Yep. So in this combat, you ready? So in this combat, the Maw kills the Ancestor.
Okay.
So I do lose just through sheer combat res, but not by much, and I have Guiding Light up.
Okay.
So I think I crumble. I think, well, oh yeah, but I think somehow I think I still failed. And I know I took, I think, either 2 or 4 wounds from the crumble.
Okay.
But anyway, the Maw's still there for a turn. But he killed the Ancestor, so good job, Maw. My turn. Yeah, there it is. Oh, he did get up. He might have gotten up an Ancestral Aid on the Ancestor, but I let that through because he had a great weapon, and I was just like, well, I just hope he dies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so here's where things, again, just get weird. I charge the Bloatflies, or this actually might be quite a bit out of sequence, but so I do apologize here. But basically, I charge the Courtesan with the flares. He fails his terror, and then the Courtesan fails her redirect.
Brutal. Oh, if she got into the flank, that's so juicy.
I know. I was just like, oh no. So that was missed. And so I'm just like, well, the Bloatflies are gonna have to chaff the Feldraks. Yeah. And then here I just kind of saw the writing on the wall where it was like, well, he's gonna eventually get the Succubi anyway. I might as well charge him. And just try and maybe get a Spectral Blades off on them, because at this rate, the Maw already has the rerolls to wound against his shrine. So I'm just gonna try it.
So, question: why do you think he was going to get the Succubi anyway?
I think he wanted points. I think he was just because they're 500 some points, and
but can you go back another pick? I thought he was playing KG.
Yeah. I
He's playing
mean,
cagey, so if you back up, force him to come, yeah, you're going to run out of real estate, but but you've got the counter
bloat flies. Yeah,
with the blow flies, and you've got, what is this? What's that unit there in the middle? It's got 2 moons on it. I think those are your claw
Claude
fiends.
fiends. Yeah,
You've
they're.
got
Oh
the
yeah,
counter
they
with
were.
claw fiends, and if they both go into an elder, then that's the bad news for an elder. They go in singly, then it's a crapshoot. But we've already identified that it's a little bit in your favor with just the blowflies alone. I don't know. I think that I think pulling back, forcing him to try that bomb charge with your counters, I think would have actually been in your favor.
Well, I have to say I completely agree with you. I think I think and that's definitely I think the play I will now do. But and that's what I was it's one of those things where it's like that's what I was intending in the beginning because I kept backing up with the succubi and then for some reason I was just like I just decided to be like screw it, let's go. you know. So I did. Yep. And then he turned his and I think I chose to not charge the scoring horseman yet because I did I wanted to yeah, I just moved the bloat flies over, right, to I moved the bloat flies over to actually threaten them so if he does flee, it's more it's just closer, you know? The Claude Fiends are just
Yep.
booking it. I'm just trying to save their points at this. I guess that's my thinking there when I did that. So now when we go into combat, the Maw is crumbling, right? I killed the champ. I have 3 wounds from crumble. And so now, I put a wound up on the Feldrak ancestor. He stopped spectral blades, of course. And yeah, here's how we look. I just basically gave him the succubi. Um, and he charges the bloat fly, so it's not looking good. But at least I have the objective. And this is the turn where I think yep, crumbles them all.
And this is during your turn. He crumbles them all.
Yeah, and I made a mistake with my magic my previous round. I was talking to James after the match. He's just like, I think you just should have. Well, first of all, aside from the succubi charge, like say not do that. He just said I needed to instead because I put a magic missile into the Feldrax to maybe soften the blow when they charge.
Mm-hmm.
But I think James kind of told me he's like, you just need to focus on getting the buffs up on the Maw so he can maybe take out that War Shrine. And because the way that I had it, I failed. That's what it was. I failed on 3 dice whispers. My opponent stops spectral, and then like I get like a spear
And
on the Feldrax, which I should have done. Actually, know thy enemy, because the Maw whiffs. I failed to hit the shrine, and then I pop. And then also you'll notice the Feldrax. They they hurt me, but the bloatflies hurt them back. And like and the Feldrax didn't do enough. And I'm kind of this is where it's one of those things with bloatflies, you just spike on the fortitude save.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And like so even though I lose, they crumble like a couple wounds. Like I didn't lose by much. Um and so I still have 2 models there, and he has 3 models left. So now the
Don't
quarter
see what you're talking about. All I see is the Feldrax into the courtesan. It looks like.
No, the Feldrax are into the bloat flies up at the top. Those are
Okay,
bloat flies there.
those are blowflies. Got it.
Yep. So the base, you see the tip onto the tip of the courtesan's base is sticking out on that left side.
Yep.
So now I have a flank into the Feldrax, which I'm absolutely going to take. So Courtesan is finally in her happy place.
Well, what did he do during his turn if the Maw crumbled in your turn?
No, the Maw crumbled in his turn, so it took
Okay.
2 rounds of crumbling.
Got it. Never mind.
Yep.
All right.
So, so now you see in my turn, the bloatflies charge the scoring unit, and I catch them.
Okay.
And so and they make their reform test, and I reform. Oh gosh, I can't tell, to be honest, with those models. It looks like I'm probably reformed facing the rear of the sloth warriors, and then the courtesan goes into the flank of the Feldraks. And yeah, so
We're the Barb Horsemen.
oh, I caught the scoring
That's who
horsemen.
fled.
I
That's who
caught
fled, and
them
you run. That's who fled, and you caught. Got it.
exactly, and so I've passed my leadership check to reform.
Got it.
So I get up. I think I get up a Stars Align. Yeah, I got a boosted Stars Align, and got. So as you can see, there are no more Feldraks.
Yep.
So I just overran to get out of line of sight of those warriors. So now it's Ben's turn. He's just going to turn around and do his best to get magic missiles onto the courtesan. So,
which he's got a lot of. He's got Grave Calls. He's got his Hellfire. He's got
Yep. So he does this with he tries to march block the flies and the courtesan here with his flares. Those flares, by the way, they're just being so annoying. So he does that, and he's able to get off. I stop one of the Hellfires. No. Excuse me. I let a Hellfire go because it's AP 0. He whips on the roll. I stop a Grave Calls, and he gets the other bound Hellfire off and does a single wound to the courtesan.
So now she's sitting there with 3 wounds.
3 wounds.
Out of 5 or
out of 6.
6.
3 wounds.
Still, now that's risky to throw her into something at this point.
Well, at this rate, yeah, I can't because it's top of my 6 coming in now, so I just got to get her out. So that's basically what I do. I just put her behind that impassable up. So at the top left-hand corner, you see the bloatflies.
Mm-hmm.
You see the courtesan's base there. Oh, she has 2 wounds remaining. That's what it is. So I think he did 2 wounds. Yeah. Excuse me. So she has 2 wounds remaining. She goes behind the house, and I did my best to get as far away as I could. But Grave Calls doesn't need an
line of sight.
Doesn't need
Neither does Hellfire.
Yeah. So yeah, I just did my best. And then you'll see here the bloatflies pass their march check, and I just fly behind the Feldraks, and so they're gonna save their points for their turn. So at this rate, I'm just trying to conserve points, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have the objective. I'm just like crossing my fingers that the courtesan lives, and she does.
I love the pick of James.
So this is the final picture of the game. She took 1 more wound.
Oh, that's still 50% wound. That's still 50% points though, but
it's still 50%, but she lives.
That's true, because if not, she's 1,100 point. That's a 1,100 point swing if she died.
Yep. Actually, no. She's not the general. It's the Maw who is the general. So he got his general bonus against me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's just there. But she's still nice. She's still now worth around 400-ish points because she's half points, like 450-ish. So that means everything said, it's an 11-9 to me because I got the objective. It was a 12-8 to Ben, and then the succubi gave me the objective.
Succubi for the win!
So I lost the Maw, half points for the court, 1 unit of succubi, 1 unit of clawed fiends, and the furies. Both my bloatflies survived. And then I took his ancestor, the scoring barbarian horseman, and the big unit of Feldraks. So well played to Ben, and that was such a fun game. And a great opponent to play against. So
Ben's a blast. I mean, so I have so many positive things to say about Ben. I don't want to get started. I think list wise, I think you had the uphill battle.
Yep.
And I think you outplayed your opponent, even though we pointed out some of the mistakes that you made.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you. I definitely, um, I'm not happy with some of the mistakes I made, but that's why we do these reports, right? We learn.
Mm-hmm.
And that being said, it is a Green Dragons victory.
Yep.
Yep, you guys took it. So you got the 13 against Chris, which was definitely less. It was more than expected on Chris's side because he had you as an "Oh God, please no."
I remember. So I do remember this game. He got lucky on a couple of things, but at the same time, he's got. I think Chris sells his list short. He's got immovable blocks. It's like, what do you deal with this thing? You don't. You don't go. You don't want to touch the King's Guard with a king in there that's going to do D3 wounds to large critters. So yeah, and then he and I discussed that list now that I think about it, but yeah, it's I remember I rolled a 4 and all I needed was a 5 on an overrun just to get out of line of sight, and he took advantage of it. So well played to Chris in that game too.
Nice. Yeah, good for him. I know he's not been 100% happy with the dwarves of late, so it's good that,
He's going to Orcs. He's going. I think he's going to be playing his Orcs and Goblins now.
That's exciting. I'm excited to see his new. Yeah, I'm excited to see the army because he has it completely 3D printed and it's going to be looking cool. And then looking at Ryan got the 18 against Chris McDonald, which we had as a yellow. So I think really this tournament is a lesson of like double checking your matrices because I had this matchup as a green and I just had to really fight for that win, right? Because I don't think it is a green anymore. Like just no. And then, yeah, but yeah, overall, I mean, it was both teams, we drove up to Ohio, and I think what better way to end the tournament to be able to play some club mates a fellow club from the East Coast,
Absolutely. I mean, and even though we're only about an hour apart from one another, we don't play each other very often.
We don't,
So,
right?
so I think it's great. And I do want to also give a shout out to the Duel of Titans, which is going to be an event held the end of April, which is a 2-day event, I believe. That's going to be held at Titans Hobbies and Games. That James is setting up, and like we'll figure out TOing and stuff like that. But that should be a good. It's a T9A event. I think it so far. I mean, he just put it up about 2 weeks ago. It already has eight players listed, and I know Jeff's coming up from Jeff Durham's coming up.
Right.
I know another couple players who's like, yeah, I'll be there, and they always sign up at the very last minute. So
Yeah.
Which drives me bonkers as a TO. I was like, no, sign up now.
Just to generate more interest.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, we kind of already touched on some of these thoughts on the mistakes, but I thought my macro plan seemed solid of just putting pressures. It was more micro stuff and decision making. I think I was making mistakes but I'm still happy to get the win. Thanks for doing the shout out for the tournament. This is our local club, Titans of Ninth. And then also, I don't know, I do want to put one more slide in here before we end this.
Go ahead.
Aside from the fact that unfortunately our team, we did not do well. Last place is no surprise if you've been watching the battle reports ahead of time, but yeah, it was still just a fun experience. We did our best to fight through any sort of like life setbacks that we were having, and we still had fun. It was great to play you guys again. Congrats to the winners, the Dad Generates, and thanks again for the tournament organizer as well for is it Jeff? Do I remember that name correctly?
Jeff Parkhurst sets up Sin, and he also runs Buckeye. So yeah, huge shout out to Jeff. He's also hugely instrumental for setting up masters. And well, I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Masters that was held this year in Dallas, and we actually had Chris Wynn from your team join us, and Joe Finn. We lost to Luxembourg. We were 4-1. They were 4-1, but they had more cap. They capped more of their opponents than we did, and it was such a fun event. And Chris took his. I mean, people looked at that dwarven list that he brought. He's like, I don't want to play that. I don't want that. So he did a really solid job. And Stottle brought out. I wish I had sent you pictures. He brought out the Mushroom Kingdom for Nashers for Orcs and Goblins, and it was so much fun to play against. I mean, that list was taking name. And Joe F, he brought Vermin Swarm. That's let's be honest, they're rats. I mean, need I say more? So
yeah. Congrats to Joe, by the way, on getting
he won
first
Masters.
place.
Yeah, he won Masters. I mean, so, and he's a Maryland guy. So absolutely, there's strength out there in Maryland, and I don't let this ranking here on this screen fool you. I mean, your group is let's not say we can't say enough about it. You guys are just fun to play with and play again.
Well, the sentiment goes both ways for sure. And then just one final pick. I don't know if you guys hit this on the way back, but boom.
Oh my God. Yes, we did. And I'm stuck driving in that crap. Oh yeah, I love whiteout conditions. It wasn't a huge amounts of snow. It was just whiteout conditions.
It was absolutely whiteout. Yeah, that blew my mind. Like all hands were on deck when we were going home. We're on like 25 miles an hour, like if even on I-70, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah. And it was just we're watching and we're like, oh dear. All right, well, let's go get a cup of coffee at this point. Let's see if this will blow over. Now it's still going on. Let's hop on in. We'll hit the next rest stop.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was an adventure. But anyway, Mark, thank you so much for joining me. This was a lot of fun. I'll definitely want to have you on as a guest again. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Like and subscribe if your jaw is unhinging, of course. And yeah, thank you.
No, truly my pleasure. I miss doing these things.
Awesome. And I'm excited for you to come back once you're done with life stuff as well.
July 1st is when I'm done my classes. So then Green Dragons will hopefully have gaming will start putting out some more battle reports. And I look forward. I mean, you guys are running a map-based campaign soon. So I'm looking forward to that, which I will still participate in.
Cool.
And yeah, no, it's just a lot of good things. Going to give another shout out to T9A as well, because I know there's been a lot of like, oh well, for me personally, a game that shall not be named starts with a T and ends in W for worst. But it's, there's been a lot of talk about that. It's okay to play both. It's okay to have fun with both. And I absolutely think that with 3.0 coming out come June, I think that with some of the balance and things like that, just have fun with any game that you're playing. Just don't stop tabletopping. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that one. Yeah, just have fun at this rate. And I'm excited for yeah, I'm excited to see what's around the corner with the Ninth Age. So anyway, I'm gonna say thanks one more time and ciao ciao for now, y'all.
All right, take care, buddy.
Bye.